Sadness make rappers in minutes. People in this
Couped Up podcast. We got, is it Kristin? Kristin? All right, nice to meet you,
Say your
Kristin.
full name.
Kristin Zancanelli.
Zancanelli.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, is that last name, is that Italian?
Yeah, I'm Italian as fuck.
Okay. So where's kind of like your family background?
So I'm Italian and Japanese. I'm a quarter Japanese. My mom's Asian, and my dad is probably in the mafia.
Your probably?
Probably? Why probably?
No, I'm kidding. He's not. He's just a hard-ass Italian dude.
Oh, really? So how do the two cultures kind of influence you?
I have a really dynamic background considering, because Italians are super passionate and, you know, aggressive in the way they talk. Mm-hmm. They're very loud and expressive and loving, and whereas I feel like those qualities are definitely displayed differently in Asian heritage. You know, I think respect is shown a lot differently, and love is definitely, like, Italians are super touchy, you know what I mean? And Asian is not that way, you know what I mean?
That must be different.
Yeah. Is your mom like full Asian or?
My mom's half.
Half Asian, okay. Were you like, I know like Asians like in school, like their parents are like really about school and everything. Was it like that for you?
For sure.
Yeah.
In a non-stereotypical way.
Yeah, no stereotypes
like
up in here.
I'm not trying to be like that.
Yeah, no, if I got below a 3.0, I was going to be pulled out of school, so there was no option about that.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like that for me, though.
Yeah.
Non-3.0. So is there like an influence in what you do right now? Well, what would your title be right now? What would you call yourself?
I'm just a creator, man, in any aspect that I can be. I mean, I started off, the way I started shooting was because I started a fashion blog, and it was like a little girly for me, so I stopped blogging. But I mean, I started off just kind of beefing up my friends' Instagrams. I really liked shooting, and then that kind of led me to, once I moved to LA, I started getting in styling and direction, and then kind of being involved with clothing lines, and just honestly any chance I get to create or be a part of something creative, I do it.
What are some of the clothing lines you've worked with?
The main clothing line I work with is Leah Kirch. She's out of New York. She's awesome. One of like my favorite people to work with, hands down. She's super hands-on as a creative director, which I like to work with people who are like that, because then it's really a collaboration and we're just bouncing ideas off of each other. It's no longer you hiring me and me coming up with, you know, and trying to read your mind. It's really collaborative. So
you're more of a creative director.
That's like where I don't necessarily want to be on the camera for the rest of. Yeah, I don't want to be in any category, exactly. I don't want to be limited. But I do think that as a creative director, you have to have played all the parts to be a great creative director.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? I don't think you can tell a shooter what they need to do if you've never shot yourself.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So what was the brand you said you were?
Leah Kirch.
Okay, so how'd that come about? How'd you start?
Actually, Sky linked me with Leah when I was in New York. I got a gig to creative direct a video for Starter. I don't know if you guys remember them. They're kind of like an old school brand, kind of like Champion Fila.
Yeah.
They're like sort of making their comeback. Yeah. So I work with an artist out in New York. Her name's Ricky Woodland. She's dope R&B singer. And she was kind of doing some brand ambassador stuff for them. I went to a meeting with her to pick up some clothes, and then just kind of started shooting the shit with the creative directors of Starter, and then they hired me to do some like social media videos for her.
How did that feel like for you?
It was a dope moment. I called him, freaking out, like, yo, I just got the biggest break. This is so cool. Like, and he was just, yo, I have a homie named Leah who lives in New York. She does some awesome custom work. She chalks up AF1s and stuff. Maybe she can throw a pair of her shoes on Ricky in your video. So then we met up with Leah at her showroom, and Leah and I have just continued working since, and she's become a really close friend of mine.
So when you were like a kid, what did you want to do? What did you want to do?
I wanted to be a fashion designer when I was a little kid.
So it was always somewhere surrounding art, basically.
Yeah, for sure. My mom is super creative. My mom makes jewelry, and before that, she was an interior designer. So I always kind of had those influences. I also, where I lived in Colorado, I grew up in like a really small town in Colorado called Grand Junction, and it was required in my schools to play in the band like from first grade on. So I played random ass instruments. Like I played the trombone, I played flute, the clarinet, the saxophone, the piano. Like I used to really like music. I stopped though because I was a gymnast for 10 years. So that kind of took away.
Which instrument really stuck with you? Like were you actually like super good at, and what's your favorite?
I loved playing the saxophone. I also love when anybody else plays the saxophone. I think it's a sexy instrument.
Yeah.
It's
pretty
like,
cool.
There's like so much information to go into. I'm trying to take it all in and trying to like figure out which point to start at, because you literally gave us so much information.
Yeah. So I don't play instruments any longer. I wish I was still into music. It's kind of one of those things. I'm at a point in my life right now where you have to pick and choose what you're going to put your energy into, though. Like you can't do, like as much as I would like to do everything that I want to, I would really like to excel at a few. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to have half projects everywhere. Yeah. So in another life, I think I'll be a DJ or some shit, producer, yeah, or in a past life. But yeah, so that's kind of.
Do you believe in like next lives and past lives?
Yeah, kind of, because honestly, I'm such an old soul for being 25, and I just feel like there's not really an explanation, like other than that my dad did his job, you know, like my dad was super involved with me and kind of the development of my morale. But I don't know, man, like I was able to like pick up sports that I had never, like after gymnastics, I quit gymnastics and I started like I made a competitive basketball team, and I had never played basketball before.
Really?
Like, and I didn't even know anything really about basketball. So there was always like these little things where I was able to pick it up and do it like decently well, and I had never done it before. And so I was just, you know, maybe in a past life I was a basketball player.
Yeah.
Let's kind of go in like the setup of your upbringing. So you said Colorado. I know you had gymnastics, 10 years, basketball in Colorado. But can you kind of like go in, let's go in a chronological
Yeah, I'll give you.
So we can.
So I was born in Santa Clara, California. Both my parents are from Northern California.
I lived there for like a year.
Really?
When I was like 10, yeah.
Oh, random. Yeah. So I was only there till I was 3. And then I moved to Denver, Colorado. I was in Denver for a couple years. We moved for my dad's work. And then we moved to Grand Junction, and I was in Grand Junction until 8th grade, and then I moved to Kansas City and basically did high school and college in Missouri.
Okay.
What high school did you go to?
I went to Aquinas.
Okay.
Out in like kind of towards Olathe.
Yeah, it's like right by Johnson County Community College.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what'd you do for college?
I went to University of Missouri, and I went to school for journalism. So I was in advertising.
That's kind of like what I was doing. I did like more the video side. I was doing like broadcasting, stuff like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I never really had a desire for broadcasting just because I didn't really like being on the other side of the lens, and I still don't really like being on the other side of the lens, even though I still do model in LA, but mainly it's now to like either help out people's brands or my own brand, or, you know what I'm saying? It's not, that's not my field necessarily, but yeah, so I was doing creative design, so I always liked like kind of, you know, drawing and helping, like coming up with like brand concepts and ideas and how to push them, and I'll tell you like how I moved to LA, I guess. So my senior year of college, I interned in New York for a company called United Entertainment Group, and I was working under the creative designer there, and messed it up for, like, I didn't mess it up, but like I didn't pursue going back to New York after college because I like came back to do my 5th semester, and I was in a relationship, and that became more important to me. And obviously when that didn't work out, I took like 10 months in Kansas City to just kind of get back to me and who I was, and I was just like, fuck it, I'm moving to LA and I don't know a single person out there. Like, I'm gonna dedicate the next few years of my life to me and really figuring out like how far I can push myself and what I'm doing. Like I wanted to create things that could not be taken from me, you know, because, and I think that that's true for anyone. I have a lot of girls come to me for like relationship advice, and I try to like help people before, because I'm lucky I learned my lesson at 25. You know, and like you really have to set up your own future. And I think that a lot of women, especially in Kansas City, feel a desire and a need to like have that provided maybe by or there's just like people get married younger here. You know what I'm saying?
No,
like I
I've
feel like that's
noticed
such
that,
a thing here. It's like for people to and I don't even know if like it's kind of just, you know, our parents even see it that way here, or, you know, whatever. So for me, it's just that's not the most important thing to me. You know, I want to see what I can do with myself, and so relationships are on the back burner for this.
That's really weird to me, because like people from my high school are getting married, and I'm like, we're 22. That's just crazy to me.
Right?
Like, you have so much of your life, or like maybe 30 for me, but that's still kind of close.
Yeah, like I don't think they're, you know, and I don't get me wrong, I think that there's a lot of like beauty in love, and I didn't have nothing against love, and if something developed for me, I would take advantage of it. However, like it would have to be something with a lot of freedom. I travel a lot. Like I'm always, like anything work-wise that will come my way, like I will take advantage of it. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why with relationships now, it would have to be something with like a lot of flexibility, you know, or someone equally as someone who's, I guess, desiring the same things.
Yeah.
You know?
100%. So in college, did you feel kind of conflicted, because you're more of an artistic person, but you're in a strict area like college?
Yeah.
Did you have confliction in finishing college, and kind of, or was there any confliction in that at all?
No, because I didn't know at the time. I didn't know at the time like what I wanted to do even, really. Like advertising was just like kind of the segue into dipping my toes into being creative. And I think once I got to New York, I knew that I wanted to be in a big city, and I knew that I wanted to work with brands. I guess what I didn't realize was that I was going to end up freelancing to do that, you know. So before, when I was first moving to LA, I was interviewing with a company called Ipsy to do like their social media, and I always felt kind of bored like doing advertising. I don't know why, like just doing social for somebody, or just doing, like, you had to be either a creative designer, you had to be a social media, you had to be media buyer and planner, like, you know what I mean? So it was never you couldn't just like bounce in between and just really collaborate like that. And so then anyways, I ended up not getting the job. I had been interviewing with them for over a month, and so I was like really upset that I didn't get the job, right? But I just was, I mean, I had 10 grand saved that I had been saving for a minute, and I was just like, fuck it, I'm moving to LA. I don't care. Like, I'll bartend when I first get out there, and then get a job at an agency or whatever. And
was that rough?
Yeah, like, because, I mean, there's a huge difference between moving somewhere where you know one person or two people, and you can kind of, you know, create your friend group in that way. It's completely different when you don't know anybody. And so the way you're meeting people is either through work or in passing, or, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I roomed, like, basically kind of random with a girl who had also been from Kansas City, who I had met, like, one time through a mutual friend. And, you know, I didn't really know anything about her. And so whatever, we ended up living together. I randomly got put on to these like kind of high profile private events, like bartending and serving them. And
how'd that come about?
From the girl that I randomly roomed with.
From her?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I didn't know what she was doing in LA, or like how she was making her money. I just knew that I was the one that had the credit to get us the apartment. And so so basically I started working these events, started making like really good money, and it allowed me to freelance. I upgraded, bought a nicer camera. I started just putting my money back into myself, because I knew I liked shooting, and then I knew that I liked styling and directing. So then, and the way I got put on those jobs was just by meeting people. I met my neighbors. Like, people always make fun of me because I'm the elevator friend. Like, if I'm in an elevator with you, like, I'll literally be like, hey, I'm Kristin, how you doing?
Yeah, like you have an
how's your
elevator
day
speech.
going?
Have you heard of that?
Yeah, you have like your little thing you say, you know? So, I mean, I'm super friendly. It's never been hard for me to make friends or meet people, and like, I'm a very inclusive person. So I just started meeting my neighbors. That was how I got put onto a styling job with Ricky, and that's how I started working with her as like one of the main artists. And that girl's become like my sister, honestly. And same thing with like, I mean, even like social, I'm not a huge fan of social media, honestly. Like, some people are really good at taking advantage of the networking that you can create through social.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like I do like beef people. Like, if I see people's work that I fuck with, I'll let them know, you know, and stuff. But I definitely like could be taking more advantage as far as a social thing. But like, an example of an artist that I do work with that I met over like Instagram, his name's 12 a.m. This guy sounds like The Weeknd. Is so talented. Yeah, he's out of Canada, and I mean, white dude has a voice, for sure. Yeah.
Was Ricky the one that you said you moved out there with?
No.
Oh.
I moved out there. She was not in the creative field.
Oh,
the girl
okay,
that I was
gotcha,
living with. Yeah, she was just working those events.
I think social media has pros, but it has a lot of cons too. There's so much with social media that has bettered kind of the world of like advertising, of branding yourself, but at the same time, it kind of destroyed people's lives because it's kind of like a barrier.
Yeah.
Because personal communication isn't as strong as it was before.
Yeah, not at all.
Nope.
crazy.
It's sad,
It
you
is
know,
sad.
because I feel like so many people are comfortable saying something over text or through a DM that they would never be able to approach that person in person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if there's
It's
somebody
so
I want to
true. It's
meet,
so-
I will go up to you and say like, hey, I'm Kristin.
Yeah.
I'd like to introduce myself, you know, or whatever. But there's so many people that would never feel comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
But then I'll hit you a DM the next day, like,
Yeah,
what's
exactly.
up? Saw you last night.
That's
like,
so
Like, why didn't you say anything?
yeah, like, I'm like, well, you could have came up and talked to me, you know?
Especially since we started this podcast, it's more like I'll go in public, and then like I don't want to be too specific, so I'll see somebody, I'll just say somebody, and then they'll be like, "What's up? I saw the podcast," and then they'll just like walk away.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, do
They
you want
can't
to talk?
even,
Do
yeah,
you
you
wanna,
can't
like,
even hold
have
the
a discussion
conversation.
about it, or do you want to talk about yourself? Like,
Or just like, it was like that you had to initiate the conversation about it.
Yeah.
And then you start talking about it.
Yeah, I just
It's like, if you didn't say anything, they wouldn't have come up to you.
Yeah, it must be weird.
Well,
do you have
because-
that happen to you at all?
Oh, yeah. And honestly, social media, like, my phone gives me anxiety, honestly. Like, it's definitely, I'm super responsive by email because I know that that's what I have to be on top of for my shit. But the texting and like DMs on Instagram, I'm gonna try to be better, but I don't like to be in my phone like that. I'm such a caller. Like, I FaceTimed you guys earlier, just
Yeah,
like,
he even
I was
said
like,
that.
I
He was
picked up my phone. I was like,
FaceTiming.
why is she calling?
yo, like, people be saying that. Like, I'll call people
Yeah.
when I have a question. I call you
Yeah.
because I can either get my answer in 2 seconds, or I can go back and forth with you over a fucking hour,
Yeah,
waiting
'cause-
for you to respond and you waiting for me to respond, and then
There
the
we
answer
go.
never
That's
comes.
That's what. Yeah, he does that.
Yeah,
shit all the
and
time.
you know what? People who are close to me, like, honestly know that about me. Like, if
Yeah.
you're a dude and you talk to me, like, you'll know. You don't even take it personally when I don't respond because, like, but if you call, I'll answer.
Yeah,
I
that's
hate
Like,
when you call somebody and then they're like, they text you like right after the call and they're like, what'd you need? I'm like, bro, that's what I mean.
that's what I'm
called
saying.
you. Like,
Hell no.
it's either I can get my point across right now over the phone.
No,
or
I'm
I
like,
can
you
text
better
back
be
and
in a
forth.
movie theater if you answer my call. If you don't answer my
Yeah.
call and then you text me after saying, what did you need?
Shout out Peyton, that's him.
Oh,
That shit
yeah.
is so annoying.
I do that too, but it's when I'm like usually busy with something. So
Yeah, you
it's
got to
like-
be in the middle of something.
So
But
you said you like to be on one side of the camera, like you said that's the photographer side. Is that what you?
yeah, or just anything behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying?
Why?
Even, you know, I mainly like being the visionary and just kind of bringing this shit together and watching it unfold and come to life. I mean, I started off modeling in LA when I first got out there because I started getting gigs and, you know, I wanted to meet people, I wanted to network, but I'll tell you, look, what I did with it was every photographer that I modeled for, I let them know that I was a photographer and that I wanted to work under them. And not once did anybody
Yeah.
say no to me.
That's crazy.
You know, and that it was either you take that initiative or you go DM them on Instagram and never get an answer, or you go and email them and never get a response. You know, so when you have an opportunity to be in person with people you admire, like we were just talking about, take advantage of the conversation. If you saw the podcast and you thought it was cool, start a conversation about it. Ask more about it. Can you be a part of it? Where are you taking it? You know, but again, like I think
it's an ego thing.
Well, that's
people are high in ego nowadays, and they can't. It's hard for them to compliment someone for their achievements or compliment someone else, and then be afraid that they won't like take it in some way.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
No, I agree with that. I'm such a team you person. Yeah. Like if you're friends with me, I'm always like bowing down to you. You know what I mean? Like I want like us all to win, you know? Yeah. So when people don't have that mentality, I feel like it really kind of like hinders who you grow with. Like I want to grow. I want everyone to grow. I want everyone to evolve. I want us all to keep, you know, scaling up in our life. I mean, I think that a lot of people get complacent too with what they're doing.
I agree.
And just coast, stay in the Midwest.
Yeah,
let's not see what else is in the world. Yeah. You know, and that's something I think that's become a huge part of photography for me is the places that it's taken me. Yeah. You know, and the places that I want to go to just to shoot. Not even if it wasn't paid. Like I want to capture all the content, you know, and remember it. Sometimes I think I have like kind of a poor memory. I don't know if it's from weed. I don't know. I mean, I don't know, man. But I really like it's helped a lot for me to like journal and to look back at, you know, my photos and my videos and like things that I captured from certain moments. Like I was just shooting in Tulum for 7 days, and the footage that I have from the shoot, like it makes me smile so big when I'm looking at it, and you know how excited you get to cut it and share it with the world, and you know what I mean. So I truly love creating, and that's kind of what was like segueing into, you know, what he's going to be doing. I mean, basically I might like he's going to be spending like 1.5 years, 2 years, however long they end up going out there in Southeast Asia, and I probably am going to like try to dip LA for a little and go out there. LA is like a little much sometimes for me personally living there, like, and since I travel so much I don't have to be there too often. But, and don't get me wrong, I love LA. Like, the scenery is unreal. I get the ocean, I get the mountains, I get to, you know what I mean? It's 75 and sunny year round. But I do like to, like, get out of LA just because the scene can be a little interesting.
Let's talk about your experiences with, like, traveling. So, I think I followed you for about, I'd say around 4 years.
Yeah, we've had like one of those.
So I've seen like the beginning when you were in Kansas City.
Yeah.
To like now.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, when I look at your story, sometimes I'm just like, what did she do in between the time where she was in Kansas City to get to this point? Yeah. So, yeah, I see you traveling all these different places, and it's just amazing to me like that you're even doing this. So, what do you think about your own personal growth from the past few years?
I feel so weird talking about myself. I mean, honestly, I'm really proud of myself. Like, to be honest, because I was in a pretty dark place when I was in Kansas City for the 10 months that I was here after school. I mean, I was heartbroken, and I felt like I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. I was kind of just like lazy or partying, or I didn't really, like I feel like I was going out a lot. Now, like, I hate going out. I go out when I come back to Kansas City because I have people I want to see and like show face to and, you know, whatever. But in LA, I don't really ever be stepping out in LA. I'll go out in cities I visit, you know, to see what's up with the city. Yeah. But where I live, like, that's not even a part of my life anymore. And I feel like in college and that year after college, it was a big part of my life. And I just, you know, have a much clearer head on what I'm doing and where I want to go. And this is honestly just like the beginning of me. Like, I feel like I haven't achieved anything. Really? So maybe I shouldn't even say I'm proud of myself, because I don't think I've achieved anything yet. You
could be proud of yourself and still I could do better.
You know, so, but you know what's really, really cool is honestly the best part of like what's changed in those 4 years are really like the relationships that I've made, and you know, I have so many creative people that surround me now.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was really lacking that 4 years ago. I felt like I, you know, was searching for that in my friendships, and it like kind of like hindered me that I wasn't surrounding myself with people who were also into those same things as me. They were into partying, they were into, you know, going out, and that's been like a huge part that's changed. Now it's like, if I want to be around people that, you know, there's da-da-da over there, she's doing music, we have a writer right here, we have a photographer editing, we have a videographer planning his like next shoot, you know what I mean? So now I have those circles. In New York, I have an amazing girl gang in New York. Like, these girls, it's a bunch of women that are super, super talented, and are all just really kind of going after their dreams, and it's insanely motivating when you're around a crew like that, you know?
This is crazy. This is like personally like what I think about all the time, but I'm still in school, so I'm kind of stuck here for right now. But I think about this type of stuff all the time, just like the importance of like going out, not going out like partying, but going out, seeing other things, seeing new things. Mm-hmm. I had a question for you, but you're off camera and off mic. But like,
you wanna get in there?
So what would be like a way? So what is the way that you're funding the next? Or do you know? I'll ask you, but
like how are you funding this trip? How are you gonna
fund the next 2 years?
Okay, yeah, like that's a good question. But I mean, basically, what's the company called?
So what? The one company is called Workaway.
Yeah, okay. You could just put it on him. Yeah. Oh, it's Workaway. And then like, so what kind of is involved with this?
So, just to break it down, like the biggest thing is you'll always figure a way, right? A lot of people when they want to go and do something, like money. Everybody thinks money first. The first thing you have to do is take money out of it and ask yourself, what do you want to do? And then like, the realest shit that ever, my mom told me straight up, she said, you want to go and travel and create? I was like, yeah. And I said, but I got to figure out. And she goes, that's it. That's all you need to worry about. Go and do that, find a plan. And so like, yeah, since, you know, I left Made 6 months ago, probably, a little bit longer than that. And since then, I had to really change my life. I had to stop going out as much. I had to change like, even when I have lunch, you know, and stuff like that. And really just start looking at what I wanted for the trip. And start doing that, and then we found a company called Workaway where maximum you work 25 hours a week, and in return for that you get your food and your stay. And so like you pick the host. Like we found a dude that has a 44-foot yacht and he just needs deckhands. Like,
oh, that's dope.
We find a host that like we found one in Bangkok that it's all for creatives. So like anybody that does photo, they make clothes, like they have screen printers at the fucking hostel, shit like that. So
bro, this is crazy.
Yes.
It's really about like you're mental about it.
Yeah.
Because for me, bro, like, even after I left Made, which those are my brothers, I love them to death, you know, but, like, I just had to go and do my own thing. I wasn't happy anymore for what I was doing, like, and I want to go travel. Like, anybody in Made, you can ask them, they all know all I want to do is travel. So, my mom straight looked at me in my eyes and was like, because I got a job opportunity in the cannabis industry after that. And I had to tell one of my best friends, like, yo, bro, I can't do this anymore. Like, I want to go travel. Like, I love you to death. Money's cool, I appreciate that, but like, for me, it's about just creating, seeing the world.
So what do? Do you do photography?
Yeah, I'm like her, like, just any way creative that I can be.
Okay.
Then that's what I'm trying to do, because like, we have 2 brands that we're dropping, a podcast, YouTube. One of the guys that's going with us is a writer, so we'll also have like a blog as well with it. We just have so many different things that we have been working on, but we haven't.
It's all in one. It's all one brand.
Yeah, it's your brand.
And at the end of the day, it's like, for me, it's super dope because like, let's say she comes and visits, and then let's say y'all want to come and visit in like the Philippines, and we pop up and have a podcast in the Philippines, and just talk about like, yo, how was your trip here? You know, like, did you think that us meeting a couple months ago would y'all end up being in the Philippines 6 months later? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's
the power of like creativity and being like, that's how we met. Like, I met her randomly, and since then, like, she's introduced me to people, and I've been. It's just the creative shit. Like, it just doesn't end.
I think that just goes back to like kind of what I was saying about, surrounding yourself with a group of people that, you feel inspired by, and to work harder, create more, or get out of your comfort zone, try new things, go to new countries. Like, him being out there, I'm like, dude, when am I going to get another chance to link up with some homies and all, like, it would be 2 videographers, a photographer, a writer in Southeast Asia, and you know what I'm saying, and people I feel comfortable with and that I like working with. So I'm trying to figure out the logistics right now about someone to take over my lease.
This is like a truly inspirational conversation for me, because this is like how my mindset is, but the fact of the matter that like it's the norm to go to school, to be stuck at the same job for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But I mean, some people may like that, but like,
I'm not gonna lie though, if you get out of the Midwest, like that thought, like you just said, it grows,
because I went to LA and I was like, wow.
Yeah, like really not that many people in LA think that way. Like there's so many people doing kind of against the norm of what you're supposed to do with how you're like, right? Because everybody thinks you go to school, you get married, you have kids, you get your job, your 9 to 5 for however long, blah, 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 you grow within that. In LA, like I cannot even explain to you how many people like we create our own schedule. And but it really depends. Are you the kind of person that you want to work for somebody, or you want to work for yourself?
That's right.
So that is like, I think the major difference between like who chooses to live that lifestyle and who doesn't. It's not a comfortable lifestyle all the time. Like I constantly, like financial pressures are constantly an issue. Like for me, like freelancing.
Yeah, that's one of the downfalls of that, instead of like a 9 to 5.
Yeah, but
motivates you're doing what you want.
Yeah, it motivates you to work harder. You just have to have the self-control to work.
Yeah.
And to create your day, and because nobody's going to be making you do it. So like there's like some beauty in like having the freedom to do whatever you want to do, but also having the self-control to achieve it. So that's like where it really takes you being like your own business leader. And I mean, like, you have to make yourself work pretty much. You could either work as hard as you want or not.
Yeah, in a way it's kind of like this type of experience. I just forgot what I was going to say, but I'm just going to go for some. Like it's I think it's crazy that we're wasting so many years of our lives trying to, I'm saying for people in college, like trying to do the same thing for the rest of their life, just the same 9 to 5 or whatever hours you're, even if you're going to be like a doctor, you're going to be in the same environment for the rest of your life, and then it's just like you just wasted a whole life.
It's just also like how, like I kind of have like a, I don't know how I feel about our education system. I just feel like sometimes it's counterproductive as far as, shaping people into really what they, like really helping them find what it is that they want to do. I mean, I found that through hands-on work. That's how I figured out what I wanted to do, was when I started working in real agencies, when I started seeing real clients, real work. You know what I'm saying? That was what made me realize I was either doing the right thing or not doing the right thing. When I was in media buying and planning, I knew that wasn't the thing for me.
Yeah.
I was counting down the minutes every day until I could get clock out of that job. But there's some people that like that. They like to clock in, they like to clock out. I would rather work 24/7 doing something that I love than working 9 to 5 and having that relief of like, oh, I can go home and relax now.
I was going to school for video production, and I'm happy, like the job that I got in journalism was like teaching me that, and like video and like how to edit and everything like that. But like I got to a certain point where it's like I know what I'm doing, and I can like teach myself, whether it's on YouTube, and I'm just like wasting my money at this point in my time. I'd rather just like do this podcast myself, and why do I need to be in school?
That's basically what I was like talking to you about, is like, if you're going to school, I'm not saying I can't knack like everything about it, but if you're going to school for painting, dance, theater, video, like you can learn all this on your own.
Well, and isn't that the crazy thing of the internet now?
Yeah, you could learn
YouTube University.
Before
any
YouTube
of the arts,
University.
You can do this on your own, and you can learn more.
Yeah.
Like outside of school.
Yeah, it's just about like taking the time to teach yourself, and that. But then again, I think that can go play right back into what kind of person are you?
Yeah.
Are you a self-starter? Are you a self-teacher? Are you a visual learner? Or do you like to like listen to somebody else and be shown what to do? You know, so like maybe it fits some people and not others.
It's just like this Adobe Audition and like all the stuff we need for audio. I didn't know any of this in school. Like we picked it up in like a month.
We had to learn it.
Google search it, figure it out.
YouTube.
You had to learn everything.
I mean,
or I could sit in a classroom and they tell me
for
like,
6 months.
No, I won't say that like I didn't learn anything from school. You know what I'm saying? Because like for example though, like I'm doing like mainly like photography and creative direction. And that has nothing to do with what I learned in school. However, I will say that everything I learned about advertising from a branding perspective has become super important for me in the work that I do for my clients. Like, and
what are some of the most important things you learned from that?
I mean, our J school had like a really comprehensive learning system, I feel like, because I learned every aspect of journalism. I had to write, I had to interview, I had to, even though I never wanted to be a broadcaster, I had to do media buying and planning, I had to do Stratcom. So I got a really comprehensive education of like all these different parts. So now when it comes into like being hired as a photographer, I don't just do photography when I'm hired as a photographer. I will help you with the creative direction. I will help you with the styling. I will help with the vision. I'm doing that vision board with you. You know what I'm saying? It's you take on more roles than what you're hired as, you know? And I think that that's where like branding has become a huge like part in that. Like I link my sister's a graphic designer. I currently link my sister with almost every client of mine because so someone hires me as a photographer. They need the product shot. They probably also need graphic design or social posts or something. So it's like, how do I take advantage of the network that I have and putting people that I work with, putting them on work and us all growing together?
I read a book on that. It was basically saying if you have people doing the same thing as you, don't look at them as competition. Look at it as like a growth. Like you can use those other people to grow yourself. And if you give them something, don't give them something for finances. Give them something for growth for both of you. So you give them something, they give you something.
Yeah, like your sister, there's a graphic designer. If she needs somebody with like that needs photography, she'll like put you on.
No, and it's great. And that's honestly the relationship that I have with so many people. That's the relationship I have with him. You know what I'm saying? Like he put me on Leah Kirch, who is now one of my most consistent clients. And like I know that I'm definitely her go-to photographer, you know? And so like it's crazy how like one little connection like that, hey, I have a girl that could maybe throw some of her shoes on your artist, has now become like a long-term client of mine, you know? And that's how the world works. It's like, but are you good at keeping relationships? Are you good at that's why you have to care about the work that you're doing and giving people. You know, unplug from social media, unplug from the rest of your life, focus in on the things that are most important, and you'll be able to grow those relationships and grow and have growth within yourself. And I think that's probably the most rewarding part for me since 4 years ago. I have grown so much as a person. Like, same person, but
I guess
way more mature.
something's gotten you to be a very mature, like, intellectual person. Like, you really have so many experiences to talk about. Definitely compared, I don't want to be like negative, but like definitely compared to like many of the people around here. Like they don't have the same type of experiences, and like I could just tell from just talking to her, she's been through a lot of things from just since I've started following you from the beginning. Like it's
I mean, and
what do you think the
honestly,
biggest thing is that matured you like that in that way? Was it just like getting out, like traveling, stuff like that?
My dad, for
Your
sure.
Dad?
Yeah, like and I'll explain to you like how I told you I was pretty Italian. Like when I first came in, is like my dad was the kind of person when I got in trouble for something like sneaking out, like my dad made me quit the high school cheer team and join the golf team. Like it was never like a like small little like you're grounded. It was a 2-hour sit down lecture about my life, my morals, my passions, the kind of person that I want to grow into. Like it was always this really deep conversation. And also like harsh punishments. Like, you think I wanted to play golf? you think that I wanted to go from cheerleading to golfing? No. Like, and what's crazy about that is I actually ended up really liking golf, and I could have played in college. And I'd never really golfed. That's what I was saying. I think that I was like golf, an athlete or something in a past life. Yeah. And so, but like, I mean, that definitely with like becoming more cultured, you know, going to different cities, being like surrounded by diversity and different kinds of people, and you know, and I've always been attracted to that. That's why I moved to LA. It's a melting pot, you know. That's why I wanted to move to New York. That's why I still want to move to New York. I'm trying to like become bi-coastal, you know what I'm saying? So, or to just be nowhere and everywhere. Maybe not even bi-coastal, maybe just everywhere in the world, you know. And I mean, I lived in Italy for 6 months when I was in college, and I think after that trip, that was really when I became so keen to seeing the world and really admiring other people's cultures and seeing how other people lived a completely different way of life than how I lived it in Missouri. And definitely had to get out. Like,
yeah. I see the people who are doing the best that are from here are the people who actually moved out.
You know, and
like, I could list names, but like this dude named was a fashion designer. He started here in like high school, and he kind of just like ventured out, and then ever since then he's just been growing his brand. Like literally any rappers wearing his clothes. I could watch a YouTube video and see a rapper wearing his clothes. I'm just like,
and I'm not gonna lie, dude, like those connections. Where is he living?
I'm pretty sure he's based in Atlanta. He actually wants to come on this. Like, he apologized for me last night. He was like, bro, I'm so sorry. I've been so busy. I'll try to make it to Kansas City. But
yeah,
like, he's just like working
cool.
so hard. It's crazy.
But, you know, and like, again, being in kind of those bigger cities, I will say, like, my networking has completely changed because I'm no longer, like, relying on, I mean, I can't even explain. I could be sitting and getting sushi, and then the director of Vogue is sitting next to me also getting sushi, and I just happen to run into him.
Yeah.
You know, like, there's situations like that all the time in bigger cities, because that's where they're doing their business, you know. And so, like, that's why it's so much easier to go after bigger work in those cities, you know. Like, I never thought I'd work for Starter.
That's interesting.
I just happened to be sitting with the creative director. Yeah, like, I just happened to sit down with the creative directors of Starter in New York City with an artist that I like admire and work with, and like was able to do some social media videos for her. Like, it was cool, you know. And it was a fun thing too, because we shot it all on a VHS. Leah and her crew came through. Like, everybody was there. This kind of like whole girl gang, and now we all have continually worked on projects together. Now every single one of those artists has become models for Leah, and you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like didn't stop at just like one campaign idea. It like became like a multiple campaign thing. And so I don't know, man. Like, once you guys get out of school and you finish your thing, like, your whole life will change.
I'm not
he left, but I don't know if he's coming back.
Yeah, you know,
I don't see a reason to.
It's just,
listen, like, if you take advantage of your time then and you really go after what you want to do, you just have to have that push. Like, it has to come from within you.
That's so
because
true.
if you quit school and you don't have the push, then you will fail. And then now you lost out on like a lot of job opportunities that a college degree does give you. You know, and that's kind of like a sad thing now, is there are so many jobs that do require a college degree. So it's like, if you are going to do it and you're going to be a self-starter, you have to push yourself, you know. And it's not easy. I would be lying if I said that my time in LA has been like all peaches and cherries. Like, it hasn't been. I had like a really rough last 6 months, honestly, and like some situations.
Financially, or you don't have to go
like
into detail, but
no, I don't mind. I'm an open book. Like, I mean, I just had situations with people that I thought I trusted that did screw me over financially, you know, and like bad business decisions. Like, I'm trying to do the entrepreneurial thing. I made bad investments. I gave people money that I shouldn't have. You know, and that's all things that I'm now learning. I'm learning how to be 25 and to be a woman and to be an entrepreneur. And so there's a lot of moving parts in my life right now. And I'm so excited about like work opportunities that sometimes I forget to do my personal, like my little background check before, you know what I mean? Because I'm such a genuine person and I'm an open book myself. So the energy that you receive from me when you first meet me is the energy that stays. It doesn't switch up. It doesn't change. It wasn't a lie. So I have an issue of assuming that other people are the same.
Yeah.
You know, and in LA, like that's why I'm saying that LA can be like, I like to get a break from LA sometimes and to come back to Kansas City and decompress, or to go to another city and decompress, because the way that people move out there, everybody's trying to have a come up. Everybody's trying to start their life. Everybody.
I was literally thinking that while you were talking.
Yeah, dude. Everybody's on that. They're like, and that competitiveness is good, but it can also go south when people treat people wrong, or they take advantage of people to get to someone else, or to get something else, or to get what they need. You know, so it's a dangerous game out there, and I don't really like having to decide if I think your energy's right or not. You know, like I'm just trying to spread love, good energy, be who I am. And yeah, I mean, whatever. I'm learning lessons and living life, growing up.
Entrepreneurship is something that needs to be like taught way more in like the education system. Because if you're just focused on college, like college, and then there's just like a little glimpse of entrepreneurship that's just like passed on.
I just think that there should be some motivational speakers that come through,
cool,
you know,
too,
at like some point in your, like, because that's kind of one thing that I got lucky that I had with my dad. My dad is an entrepreneur. Those were the conversations I was having. But you know,
I'm gonna interrupt real quick.
Go ahead.
My dad's an entrepreneur too, but he's a first generation college student. So he was like, I need my son to go to college. You know, like he wanted me to go to college. And he didn't teach me anything about entrepreneurship. So it's like I think it's different with like first year. I don't know if your dad went to college.
I'll tell you my dad's story if you guys want to hear it.
Yeah.
I've told a lot of my friends this story, and like honestly it should be like really motivating. So my nana got pregnant with my dad when she was 15. So it's kids raising kids, all right? Like she was super young, so was my papa. So they had no money. My dad got a scholarship for baseball to play at Fresno State. Realized by like his junior year that he wasn't going to go pro. School wasn't for him. Dropped out of school. Started sweeping the floors of a KFC. Mind you, like very humbling moment to trade in your baseball uniform for a Kentucky Fried Chicken uniform. And started sweeping the floors. But my dad's motto has always been that if you're going to do anything, like if he's going to be sweeping the floors, he's going to sweep the floors better than anyone's ever fucking swept the floors. You know? And so he did that. Like he went from sweeping the floors to the kitchen line cook to storefront manager, district manager, regional manager, worked his way up through that company, left the company, took 5 bankrupt KFCs. That's why I grew up in a shit small town. He bought 5 KFCs out there that were bankrupt and turned it into a portfolio of over 100 restaurants, and then sold that and started his own restaurants in Kansas City. Red Door Woodfire Grill, shout out. But you know, so my dad really was a self-starter. My dad, neither of my parents have an education, a college degree.
Your dad has almost the exact same story as my dad.
Really?
Because my dad's on the part where he's starting the restaurants.
Cool.
Like, in the sense, like he was working at Red Lobster.
Okay.
And then became manager. Cool. And it was just like, fuck this, I'm gonna get my own business. So he started a photography business. Cool. And then grew that, bought out an event space where he also does photography in. And then now he's turning that event space into like the district office for the restaurants that he's about to start up. That's weird.
It's like, cool.
It's like a mirror.
That's cool.
That's crazy.
But you know, like, and I think that goes to say though, like, how hard you push yourself can really determine where your life takes you. If you think that my dad thought that sweeping the floors of a KFC was going to lead him to where he's at now, absolutely not. Yeah. You know, but it's just about like working hard at what you do and caring the most about what you do. Like that restaurants, before my dad knew it, became his passion. And that wasn't his passion before. Baseball was. You know, like he thought he was going to be an athlete.
Shit changes. That's why I asked you what you thought you were going to be when you were a kid, because I know.
Yeah, fashion designer. I still want to be in fashion. Yeah. I am in fashion technically, as like helping people with their creative direction and, you know, whatnot. But like I would like to, there would probably be a brand one day.
Yeah.
But that's something I want to do once I'm like really comfortable money wise, and it's like more because I just want to express the things that I would want to see myself wearing and other people like strutting the same shit. Then I'll do it when I have the time to. But right now it's just, I was like helping a brand for a while, like got involved with the brand, and this is where I was saying it's a poor investment if you aren't working with the right people, and if you don't have the same vision, or you didn't do your background on what you need to do to get it to where it needs to be. And clothing lines are a tough stuff, you know, like it's a huge financial commitment, really.
Besides like the little clothing lines that come out every once in a while, and then we actually wait, were you a part of that?
Yes.
We did like some little thing in high school just to like touch into it, and then like we canceled it. But clothing lines, that taught me a lot. Like clothing lines aren't just a little thing that you could just like throw in a little money and then just
no.
Oh, here, $50 for my T-shirt. Like, what's gonna make people buy that?
Yeah. Like, you gotta. It's the brand.
The marketing of it, man. Like you put so much money into marketing. Like really, like, and that was why I thought I could do it, because I was doing it with another content creator. He was a videographer. I was a photographer. I was like, all the content can be kept in house. We don't have to pay anybody to do any content, which is a huge like cut in your costs. But there's also so much money that goes into manufacturing, sampling. Like if you really want to take it to the next level, how much money goes into sending out influencer packages, like getting in touch. Like anybody that I knew, like which like through my like that bartending gig, I knew a lot of like actresses and models. I worked with them, so like I would be taking advantage of all of those. But you're spending how much money to gear them up?
What do you mean influencer packages? What's that?
Like if you wanted to like gear up influencers that you know, like I like met a lot of models and actresses like through my work. So like if I wanted to gear them up with like a hoodie and a beanie and you know whatever, you're still paying for that. You're still paying cost. You're still, you know what I mean? So how many people do you do that for? And you still don't know how they're gonna post for you. Yeah. There's no promise in that you're gonna get the maximum value out of you. That's why you have to really choose the right people.
They might not even like wear any.
They might not even post it. Yeah. Like you never know. Like somebody knew Post Malone's and then you're hoping that the gear's gonna get to him, and it doesn't ever get to him. You know, so it's like, I don't know. I definitely want to do it one day, but I'm not where I'm at yet.
Start a brand?
Yeah, so that's what I was saying was one of the bad investments, man. I didn't have whatever. My partner like stole the money that I invested in it, so it was just not. I didn't do it with the right person, and like I plan to do it again for sure. But you have to do your background on, you know, making sure you have the right team behind you, making sure that you're, you know, that you're in a place to where you can put enough money in to get it to be successful. Can't be like if you're gonna fund it yourself, you really have to have the money in place to fund it yourself. Or know the right people to invest from the go. Yeah. So I think that was
kind of looking into it, like looking into the brand before you got here, just to see like what I could talk about. Yeah. And I saw in like the comments, someone was like, "Wow, this is like great brand marketing." I don't remember who said that, but I know who.
That's and you know what's funny is I felt like the marketing for it wasn't even where I wanted it to be. Really? I don't know.
There was just like different pictures of. I saw people from Kansas City, but there's also people from maybe LA, probably.
Yeah.
Most Kansas City and LA.
Yeah, it was pretty much like anybody that I knew. I feel like.
Some of them would be around like top influencers and stuff, and like someone would be wearing the merch. Like, it was pretty cool.
No, and don't get me wrong, I enjoyed that part of it. Like I really did enjoy like leading the content and shooting it and reaching out to people that I knew and seeing if they fucked with my work. Like that was a pretty cool moment that when people are like, hell yeah, I'd rock this, hell yeah, I'd rock the beanie, blah 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 blah. I just didn't have the right partner, and so I'll do it again when I find the right person, but it just like wasn't the right team to do it, you know what I'm saying? So I was sad because it was something I wanted to see through, but move on with your life, you know. And that's kind of, you know, where I don't know what's going to happen in the next in the next like few months, if I find someone to take my lease and head out to Southeast Asia, I have every intention of hitting up every model that I possibly can find in those cities and shooting and creating another network, doing the same thing that I did in LA overseas. You know what I mean? Like I did that when I lived in Italy, you know, like you make your friend group, you meet people, you start. I know a couple of bars in Italy. If I wanted to go out there, I could shoot for those bars, like hands down, you know. So it's like, that's something that I recommend to you guys as the older you get. When you start to create your network and you start to, you know, associate with people, keep up with those relationships so that, because you never know when you'll be working together in the future. You know what I mean?
You never know how far they'll get too.
That's where I think some of the best business leaders end up, you know, being so successful, is because they really like kept that support moving. You know, even if you guys are going different directions, still keeping those relationships, not burning bridges. Like, I don't burn bridges with anybody. It doesn't mean I'm a pushover, but I don't burn, like, I have no reason to ever have drama with people or to burn bridges or to lose those relationships, you know?
Yeah. One of my biggest regrets in life was quitting acting, because I was in 4th grade, I was acting, and I was really good because what made me start was a play asked me to be the lead because their lead left because he was doing some work or something. And the lead that left turned out to be the kid from Daddy Daycare. So I took his position in the play, I acted in the play, and I had all these scouts from like Disney Channel trying to like have me on, and then I moved out here. And then the whole thing
You didn't really have a choice.
quit. Yeah, I didn't have a choice, but like everything just quit. I could have kept well, I didn't really have a choice, but
You still could keep acting,
No.
man.
that's not like my passion there.
Yeah.
Like it's just weird how anything could change, anything can switch up, and it's crazy. Like,
your life will go where
aspirations
it's
just
meant
switch
to.
up. Yeah.
You know, like I would never have told you that my life would be how it is now, or that I would have gone to the places that I've gone to now, or I would have never dreamed of that 4 years ago. You know, it's just, life is so crazy. It really is. But if you just push it gets crazy when you go outside of your comfort zone. If you just stay complacent, if you stay complacent, it will be a routine. You'll see the same people, you'll do the same thing. The minute that you push yourself outside of your comfort zone, you go somewhere you don't really know people, you go to something that you wouldn't normally go to, you go to an exhibition you've never seen, you do something by yourself. That's when you push yourself to have new experiences, you know?
I agree. When we started this, before we started this, like I was huge on just painting, like painting in general. And then once college started, I kind of just like cut everything creative I was doing in life, it was cut. So then I was on this structured kind of path. And then now I'm kind of like slipping out of that structured path, and I'm not gonna lie, it was like really uncomfortable at first to just, I would tell you guys, I'd be like, I don't know, like sometimes I'm just sitting down thinking like, why am I doing
all the
like,
bad things?
I think of like, why am I doing
saying
this?
that,
Like, what is this? What am I seeing for this? But then like I continue and I'm like, oh, like we keep having these achievements, like slowly progressing, and I'm like, okay, I see why I'm doing this. But there's always those negative like outlooks I get. I'm not trying to be like.
No, I get it too, dude.
I don't know if you're understanding what I'm saying.
No,
but
I
like,
am.
The structure. This is why I'm kind of like so negative on college, because like the structure that college gives you is just like, this is the next step. This is the next step. This is the next step. But you're really not getting anywhere. To be honest, like you can, let's say like the highest point you can get from a college education, like with an actual like workforce job, like you can get like $400,000 a year. But like if you're an entrepreneur, you could get $1 million a year. You could get $2 million a year. You could expand. And it's just like crazy that your brain's so hardwired and set to a certain point. Like
it's crazy to me that I know
like that's what we're trained.
But one thing I'll say, like, because I agree with what you're saying, and I've said this to my dad before, and my dad was like, his point being was, if you never work in like some kind of structure at all, there's a lot of things you learn and how to do business with people and how to like be a business person that you gain from those experiences. So, you know, like I mean, and that's not to say that you have to go to college to do it, but like I do think having a real hands-on job working under somebody is for sure a need for anyone. Like you can't just start off being an entrepreneur out of, you know, and never have worked for somebody, you know, because then you wouldn't know how to have people work for you. You wouldn't know how to be a leader, you know. So I will say that at least, like, you know, you do have to gain like those skills, and I feel like maybe, I don't know if I got it from college or the internships that college pushed me to get.
Character building, is that what you're talking about? Kind of
yeah, definitely, like character building, having that morale.
Behind the scenes kind of aspects.
And just learning how to do business with people and to do good business and to be a good worker and a hard worker, you know, and then being able to be a leader in that.
I feel you.
Yeah.
What are you aspiring for? Well, let's say, what's your next goal? Do you have any goals?
I'm going to shoot for
Short
Vogue.
term?
Next goal, I will shoot for Vogue. I'll put that out into the universe and manifest that. It's going to happen.
Is it next fall?
I don't know when it'll be, man. Like, I can't. I'll be disappointed if I say when.
It'll be this exact day.
But, you know, but I'll be even more excited if it's sooner than I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I really love shooting fashion. Like, I've been really, really getting into that. But I also want to start, I mean, like in the next year, I really want to start having some more conceptual work that I'm putting out that's more like personal projects. I feel like right now I'm like really just trying to keep up. Like I'm basically taking any project that I get to stay like financially afloat, that it's not always the work that I necessarily want to be doing, or like being able to pull all of the creative ideas I have and applying them to my clients. So next year I want to be choosing every project. I want to be that busy that I can pick it. Sorry, can't get you in this month.
That's kind of like us. That's us. Like we're searching for people to have on the podcast, but at one point we want to have people like just
wanting
asking,
to be in the podcast.
You gotta. It's a learning experience. You gotta learn like who would be good for it. Like who would be good for a conversation.
I mean,
like
we don't want to have somebody on
there
here.
There needs to be
like,
substance.
Like they're like different on social media, but then when they get to sit down and talk, like they're really shy or something. Because that's not the kind of person we want to have on the podcast.
Well, I think that you guys set a good you guys set a good vibe by just being you. You know what I mean, and creating like a comfortable like this is a comfy environment. I feel like I can.
We tried to do it at a table.
I'm chilling. Yeah, no, the table's like too like confined. You know, like.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm just hanging out and talking to you, and I think that if you create, you guys keep doing what you're doing. You're good at asking questions and leading into like the next area of conversation. But I mean, I think it's cool that you guys are going after creatives. I would listen to that. Yeah. I would like to listen about how XYZ got to doing what they're doing and how that led to, you know, whatever. That's inspiring. That's probably more of what we're talking about, you needing to hear in college or when you're younger, and like, you know, figuring out what do I want to do with my life. Is by hearing other people's stories.
To know that other people think the same thing.
Yeah, it's relatable.
Yeah, it's relatable.
You know, because how many of us, like, I wouldn't be lying if I said that I constantly have doubts, like, am I doing the right thing? Yeah. Like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing?
That's what I was
like,
saying,
is this, like, what if I'm messing up right now by trying to do this and not going to get a 9 to 5? Yeah. I think about that sometimes. I'm like, what if this doesn't work? And then I haven't had a 9 to 5 job now for 3 years. However, I have a lot of work to show, so you know what I mean, like I feel like that would read, but I don't know. I mean, it's normal to doubt yourself. It's normal to, like, you know, have those moments, but I think that's why if you surround yourself with the right people, that those come less, because I'm just constantly motivated versus like sitting there wondering if I'm doing the right thing. You know, like I love the relationships that I have now with like certain videographers and photographers and models and other directors and fashion designers, and you know what I mean, because it's kind of like I just feel like I've achieved to like bleed into all of those areas without really being confined to one.
Wow.
You got an intellectual on the podcast.
Sorry, this isn't even a creative, this is just an intellectual.
I'm over here motivational speaking.
Yeah, this is motivational speaking. There's some goosebumps on my arms.
Yeah, but you know, like, how old are you guys?
21.
21. Yeah, so you have, like, when I was your age, I had no idea what I was gonna do. I was fully committed to a relationship. Like, I was bartending, taking 16 hours of class, doing what I was supposed to do, like, having a serious boyfriend, and all of that, like, has been completely unrooted now.
You're about to make this dude
Like,
drop out or something.
Now I'm all like, no, that's never my intention, because listen, I needed those 4 years in college to really like grow into who I am.
Sure.
However, I can't say that being in the real world also wouldn't have done that. You know, like, I don't know.
Like, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah. That's an off-camera conversation.
No, it's not even like an off-camera conversation, because I've already talked about, like, I've already thought of, like, stop dropping out of college. I'm right there though. So it's
what
just
are you going to school for? What's
to be a psychiatric nurse practitioner.
Okay.
So nurse practitioner.
Do you think that being a nurse would be what you want to do for the rest of your life?
There's potential.
Okay.
So what I think about every time I think about my future is using whatever job I have to, like, start a business.
Okay.
So it's just like using the finances I get from my job to venture out. Because I read this book on the stock market, because I was really interested in that for a little bit, and then it was saying the dude was a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot, the book's right there, but he was a doctor, and he said he would be a doctor for a year and then just put it all in the stock market. If he loses it, he would just go back. He would just go back and do it again. And then, like, now he's just chilling wherever he wants to go. He just goes wherever he wants, and just the stocks for an hour a day. And it's just like, stocks aren't necessarily what I would want to do for the rest of my life. And it's not at all, like, an interest. It was just interesting, like, the story he had behind it. So it's just like, I'd use the money from the job that I probably won't like. I like it a little bit. It's just like, I like talking to people, so it's just, I'd use that money and put it towards some business.
Well, so let me tell you one thing that you could do with nurse practitioning is, like, I have friends who are nurses and they do travel nursing, and it allows them to go all over the place doing nursing, and they make more money than if you were stationed somewhere. They get paid, like, I know my best friend that was living in LA was getting a $3,000 a month stipend, like, for her room, which she easily found right underneath that, was able to pocket $700, $800 a month. And then she also, like, would bounce city to city, and, like, she'd go to San Diego and practition there for 6 months, and then she would go to San Francisco, and then she'd go to Hawaii, and then she would go to New York, like, you know, so there's really, like, if that was me, I would totally take advantage of that. You can,
That's
like, a nice little,
like
what, $75K a year, and you get to travel to all these different cities, but you also have to be the kind of person that doesn't mind upping and leaving and meeting new people, and I promise that it's actually, like, not as hard as it seems it is. Learn a lot about yourself when you're alone.
I've been moving around my whole life, besides these recent years, like, because I was born out here, but then I lived in Virginia, Gainesville, Virginia. Then I moved to Southern California.
Cool.
And then
I just started traveling now, like, in the past, like, year, and it's just super addicting, because I can't imagine where I was. Like, I was in Lee Summit for the longest time, and then I would, like, see Kansas City, and I'd be like, I don't really know if I want to go out there. Then I moved here, and it's, like, so many more opportunities.
That's the thing about, like, growing up in, like, a town. I don't know. Did you grow up in the same town? No, you said you went to Colorado.
Yeah, so, like, I kind of moved around, like, California, Colorado,
I feel like
then
having
Kansas
that
City.
experience, like, at a young age is powerful, because you, like, when you grow, you're not scared to move. Like, because when you told me about the first time you went to LA, I was like,
no, that was huge for me. No, I was, like, freaking out about it.
And then
I was like, I can't
LA,
be here for the rest of my life. When I came back, I was like, I'm not staying here.
I'm glad you got to see that.
And then I went, like, right after that, I went to Chicago. I went to San Diego. Where else did I go? I don't know. I went to, like, 3 places in, like, 3 months. But it's just been super addicting ever since I got back from LA.
Yeah.
Arizona 2 times.
I feel it. You know what's hard for me right now, too? I'm kind of at, like, a conflict. Because, like, my dad, like, really, really wants me to come back to Kansas City. Like, really wants me to be a part of his family business. Because I worked with him for a year before I went to LA. And I was managing the marketing branding for my family's restaurants. And I like coming to Kansas City to see my family. I'm a huge family person. like super important to me. But I'm like also like, he's like, are you ready to leave LA yet? Come back and do the family business. So kind of back on what we talked about, how like, you know, your parents have an idea of how they want you to live your lives and blah, 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 blah. Well, now, like the last time my dad came to LA, he was able to kind of see me and what I'm doing and how my life is out there. And he's not as pressed about it. You know, he kind of like, so I feel like that could stand for, if you're good at what you do and you end up showing how far you can push it, then like, not only you don't lose your parents' support. You can still have their support, but you just have to succeed at what you're going after. If it's not what they thought you would do, you know, or what they wanted you to do.
Yeah.
You just gotta just push as hard as you can.
I congratulate both of you guys so much.
No, dude, there's no congratulations necessary.
No, it's a congratulations, because you're really going above and beyond what other people are thinking about doing, and just because I never thought about going out of the country and being able to have a company who kind of has some sort of stipend, and like you're just expanding yourself.
Like
that's amazing.
I mean,
to me.
I'm a listener, so like I'm listening to all y'all, and like I'm also an empath, so I feel, and like I looked at him as soon as you said, when she asked you, is the job going to direct your life? And you hella justified it. You were like, and I looked at him and I was like, he's lying. Like, you don't want to do that shit. And that's fine, bro. And the thing is that, like, whatever that outside pressure is, don't worry about it. Because at the end of the day, you know how many times, I got 4 parents, bro, and all 4 of them didn't rock a maid shirt until 3 years into it.
Wow. That's amazing.
So, like, you got to understand that at the end of the day, bro, whatever you're trying to do, it doesn't matter if your grandma's telling you that what you're doing is stupid. Yeah. Like, if you love the shit, that's all that matters. Like, and it gives me chills just talking about it, because, like, I mean, her and I have had multiple conversations. Like, when I moved to Denver and she moved to LA, like, we had multiple sit-down talks about, like, yo, like, what do we really want to do with our lives? You know? And, like, we had a conversation yesterday. I was like, yo, like, don't get me wrong. Like, we all can make leaps. But for me, like, I genuinely want to just shoot for the stars, because even if you come a little short, and you know what I'm saying, even if we only make it through Southeast Asia, you know how many plugs we're gonna have in Southeast Asia?
Right.
Like, how many times we could just go out and shoot out there, like, and everybody I talk to, they have some other thing they say, like, yo, shoot a wedding out there and charge them 10 racks for a destination wedding. Mm-hmm. You know, like, there's so many options, but, like, don't ever limit yourself, bro. Like, because I see so much going on in your mind, even in just this conversation. Yeah. Chase that shit. Like, don't, and I feel like I may be stepping out of my God, but, like, bro, for you, the biggest thing I see for you is the only person that will ever hold you back is you.
It's a fact.
And, like, I see you think about that sometimes, like, even in this conversation. Yeah. Like, don't ever limit yourself. Because, like, 100%. That's the only person that will ever stop you, or you, or you. True. Like, and it took me a long time to realize that. And y'all are younger, bro. Y'all are all, what, 22, you said?
Yep. Around, yeah.
Bro,
21.
Like, there's no right time. Yeah. Ever.
I completely understand. Like, it's just, I'm at a conflicting age. Like, this age is kind of the time where you're really figuring yourself out. Well, that's what makes it conflicting, because you don't know if you're really supposed to figure yourself out.
Let me tell you this, because I really related to you when you said this. You said you're about to be done with school almost, right?
Yeah.
You're like right around the corner.
Yeah, it's just like, right there.
But in your mind, you're like, I'm not excited.
Yeah.
So I feel you. So I played ball at Washburn. I broke my leg, and like I really was not happy. And I was right around the corner from graduating with in psychology, all this shit.
Really?
Yeah.
Psychology? Yeah. That's what I'm doing too.
Yeah. And so I remember I called my mom, and I was like, yo, I'm coming home. She's like, what? I was like, I'm not happy. Like I told my coach I forfeited my scholarship because that's not the route I want to take anymore. I was like, I want to be creative. I want to do this shit. And that's when I dove into Made. Like, that was, 6 years ago. And
did you meet them? Where'd you meet them? Like, the whole team? In different places?
I was emceeing a show in Lawrence. And that was the first time they ever stepped out. Like, I joined Made when, it was our second season. So, when we were selling shit on tables. And, it's just, I've watched her grow since I met her, since she got back from Missouri. We were both in that kind of weird place to being where we are now. like we're just way more comfortable with ourselves and what we want to do, and not being afraid to be like, yo, I'm gonna build my dream and not somebody else's. Because like when you were saying, well, I could work this job to fund this, or you could work what you really want to do
the whole time,
and yeah, the money's not gonna be there right now. Like, and I think he understands it without even knowing you, bro. Like, I understand that you understand a little bit more things because you've taken the time for yourself more than most people have.
Yeah.
And that's very important. Like, a lot of people, I mean, even if it's 10 minutes a day, like, do the shit. Because, like, you either have to do it now or in 55 years when you're fucking hella full of regret and you're like, I should have done this when I was young.
One thing I am gonna say though is like I finished college and I'm still doing what I want to do.
Yeah,
facts.
So I'm just gonna say like you're still young as hell. Like 21, you finish school by what, 22, 23, and like, but you know what I mean. Like you have more than enough time to still, you know, if it's a creative outlet that you end up choosing, or if you do the nurse practitioner thing. I wish I was a nurse practitioner, because then I would be working 2-3 days a week, travel nursing, making a fat paycheck doing that, and then on the weekends I'd be shooting.
Which I do have a homie that did exactly what she's talking about. So one of my good friends, Eric, I grew up with him, and then he was a nurse practitioner and started traveling everywhere, bro. And then he was a model the rest of the week. Yeah,
so on the side.
So he would get paid like 5 racks from Bud Light to be in a Bud Light commercial.
Yeah.
And just kick it and travel. So like, just trust your gut.
Yeah.
Like, you know what you want to do here.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what anyone else says. Like, even if he's like, that's fucking dumb, bro. Like, that's your homie just telling him what he feels. And that's good. You need homies like that around you. Because I had a homie that when I moved to Australia, he looked me straight in my eye and was like, you're stupid. And then called me when I was in Australia and was like, all right, bro, that shit was lit. Yeah, killing it. And so, like, it's all about, like, what you want to do. Like, just literally one day, just sit down and write down what you want to do. Take away money, take away with your friends, your family.
Yeah, like, de-engage from everybody. Because you have to, like, be alone with your thoughts. I cannot tell you what told me to move to LA. It was so random. Like, it really was so random. I always thought I was going to live in New York. And by the time that I had finished school, I actually knew, like, more people in New York from school, and I don't know why, but I was just like, I want to move somewhere I don't know anybody.
Well, see,
like I want to go completely by
conversation,
myself.
like you were just like, I was like, do you want to live by the beach or do you want to be cold as fuck?
I was like, well, haven't lived by the beach, so it sounds nice. I was like, we've been cold.
God, dude, this is terrible.
But yeah, so I mean, but listen, I made that decision at 23.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I finished school. I did the school thing, you know, and I still feel like there's a lot of things I learned in school that I take with me now. But I'm telling you, you could really do some shit with being
about me.
You could really do some shit with being the nurse practitioner and then doing your creative shit on the side, because you're a multi-talented person in that. That means you use both sides of the brain. You could be a nurse practitioner and you like are creative. You paint. You know what I mean.
I was thinking it kind of worked hand to hand too, because if I was it'd be a psychiatric nurse practitioner, so I'd work with psychiatric patients. But I'm always talking to somebody. But then if I'm also doing like a podcast on the side, we're not even trying to just make this a podcast. We don't even call our page Couped Up Podcast because we don't want it to be seen as only a podcast. So
we don't want to be limited to anything.
That's going to limit a whole brand. Everyone's going to be like, oh, that was a podcast. No, we're starting with a podcast, but we could expand ourselves wherever we want now.
Like, y'all gotta really think about, like, people say 5-10 year plans. Like, yo, imagine if y'all did this for the next 10 years. Yeah. Like, you could be 32, bro, like, really kicking it.
True.
And a lot of people...
I think about that a lot.
A lot of people, I'm 28, and, like, I've done a lot in my life, but a lot of my friends, not a lot of them, all of my friends that are my age are married, have a kid, have a house, and are like... shit, like, this happened quick. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I've always been the person that's done my own thing, and like I've got a lot of like, you know, cold shoulders for doing that shit. But at the same time, now it comes back around, and people are like, I wish I would have done what I love, you know? So stick to what you, like she said, like that shit could be, I mean, bro, you could do 6 months in each places. Next thing you know, you've done podcasts and
all over
events
America,
all over America.
Yeah.
And then you take the money that you have from that and then dip to, you know what I'm saying, wherever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
And, you know, just don't always zoom out, bro. Like, everybody has a dream, zoom out of that motherfucker and make it that much bigger. Because if you hit halfway, which you will, and then once you hit halfway, you're like, shit, we halfway there, what's up?
Yeah. I feel that so much.
I think we gotta end it here. I gotta go to work.
Way too many people in this coop. I wanna go like Kirk bangs. I wanna go where things don't change. Grip on tip, for the